So I think it's best to warn you guys that at this point, if you don't know, I have a pretty bad taste as far as media goes. I'm not going to pretend that I'm very well read, though I like to pretend I am. This, but I'm not. I'm really not. That being said, I still really enjoyed A Shadow of Night. Um, I kind of, after I read A Discovery of Witches, I tried to go to Barnes& and Noble as quickly as possible and get the second book, and I keep checking to see when the third one comes out, as if it comes out a little bit earlier just because I looked. That also doesn't work. So that being said, take everything I say with a grain of salt, because I'm not as smart as I like to pretend I am. So A Shadow of Night begins when Diana Bishop and her vampire husband, Matthew Claremont, decide to go to 16th century England in order to keep her safe. They're trying to avoid the Covenant, which prohibits relationships between any of the creatures, and Matthew is a vampire, Diana is a witch. So their unorthodox relationship could actually get them killed, as Diana was tortured in the last book, and then at the climax, a vampire came to kill her and her husband. Matthew almost died, but Diana kind of prayed to the goddess, and she was like, "You can take anyone," which again works out really well for her. Good thinking, as long as you can save Matthew. What she doesn't know, and you'll find out later in the book, is that the goddess decides to take her, Diana. So they're in 16th century England, where Matthew happened to live at that time. Now, because they traveled back, I guess there can't be two Matthews at once, so the old one kind of just disappears into nothing. So Matthew and Diana decide to visit his friends to find a place to stay. They think he's gone away somewhere else, but everyone's a little surprised because he looks different. He doesn't have a beard, and they've never heard of Diana before. It's like very fast relationship, and they don't even know the half of it. But he tells everyone that they're married. A really cool thing about this is his friends don't understand what Diana's saying at first, because the cadence and the speech and accent are just so different, which is actually a pretty great detail to add. So she has to work really hard for them to understand her. At first, they don't even think she's speaking English. So he's talking to his friends, which include Christopher Marlowe, George Chapman, Sir Walter Raleigh, Henry Percy, Raleigh, sorry, I have the worst pronunciation, you'll see. And Christopher Marlowe does not like Diana, because he is in love with Matthew. Now, Matthew does not love him for more reasons than one. That doesn't really stop Christopher. They call him Kit in here. And so he hates Diana because she's with Matthew. He keeps trying to insult her, which for some reason doesn't make Matthew like him. So anyway, they go to the house. Everyone's a little surprised that Diana's there. They're even more surprised that, the two of them are married. Eventually, they kind of have to admit, yes, Diana is a witch. They don't tell her which kind of witch or that they're from the future. But don't worry, people will figure out that pretty easily. Surprisingly easily, in fact, for people living in the 16th century. They also mention William Shakespeare a lot, by the way, which is kind of cool, except they kind of really hate Shakespeare. Yeah, okay. To each his own. So they're in the house, and they're trying to figure out what kind of witch can train Diana, because that's one of the reasons they went back. During the 16th century, there are a lot more creatures, and the witches that are there are much more powerful because of maybe family trees, because of lineage and genetics and such. In the 21st century, witches aren't too powerful. They're dying out, just like all the other creatures. So they think that they can have a better chance in finding someone to train Diana and figure out what's up with her lack of powers, or if, the lack of their manifestation. So they call for the Widow Beaton, who is an older woman, I believe. And why are they calling specifically for a witch? That's about the dumbest thing you can do if you go into the past when you know that there are witch hunts. Be like, hey, I need a witch to come over. Who's that gullible? I mean, for all she knows, they're just gonna tie her up and put her on a stake and light her on fire. Of course the woman doesn't want to come. Of course she doesn't want to train Diana, and she pretends that she's not a witch. There's really no other option she has if she's an old, unmarried woman who could easily be murdered. So anyway, she does not get along with Diana. Diana does not get along with her. And it's kind of a rough situation. The Widow Beaton starts saying that Diana's a witch and that she cursed one of the townspeople's sons, and she cursed Widow Beaton, and so, you know, for some reason the plan just doesn't work out for them. Who would have guessed? So they have to flee after a bit, find somewhere safer. Matthew is actually soon summoned by Elizabeth I, Queen of England. Turns out he's a spy for her. Matthew's involved in like everything in the entire world. He's shaped every single thing that's happened. You know the Coca-Cola you're drinking? Matthew made it. True. Yep. You know who built the Great Wall of China? Matthew, all by himself. Oh, and the moon landing? Faked by Matthew. So anyway, Elizabeth I does not like Diana. Now the thing about this is pretty much everyone is in love with either Matthew or Diana. And the other partner who they're not in love with, they hate. It just, you know, they're so aggressive about it. I don't understand. That's not how you get on the good side of someone you're in love with. And more importantly, Diana and Matthew are just not that lovable for everyone to be fawning over them. I don't understand why everyone thinks they're so special. I guess it's just, you know, the whole author bias thing. Anyway, it's possible Diana's, you know, an author avatar, but I'm not going to get into that one. Okay, so they're talking to Elizabeth I, and she basically wants, you know, Matthew to come serve her. She's really pissed off at him for just being gone, for getting married without her permission. And so that doesn't work out too well for him. She wants him to find the manuscript. Oh, wait, no. What happens is they need to find the manuscript. In order to find the manuscript, they have to go to Bohemia.